I'm forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air.
Hey, it's Beth here, episode 591. I've been 10 days missing in action. You know how I try to stay sane? Well, I had a bit of a slump here. It started with, I was baby cuddling and I had a baby in a lot of pain. And I would control it, we'd get happy, and then there'd be more pain. This baby was going through so much. And I had the whole day off from babysitting, so I could have stayed all day. And I gave it 2 hours. And I went to go have some lunch, and I couldn't pull myself back. It was 2 hours of really hard work. I hate to use that word, but to get this baby to feel better. And I was just crushed, so I came home. And then, I had to deal with iPhones and fourth graders, which is a very scary situation. They turn into teenagers right away. I had a matchmaking fiasco. I am trying to help my friends, my female friends in my age group, who would like a boyfriend or husband or a friend, traveling companion, someone with a nice timbre in their voice, a nice man. And I did one great job. I said to my friend, oh my gosh, Catherine with this amazing guy a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, and they're doing great. And they see each other every now and then. He pops in, but he might stay for longer. And it's something. She has somebody who texts her, somebody who cares about her. Otherwise, it's just too lonely for some people. And I am very aware and very compassionate about the loneliness and very grateful for my husband. So anyway, these last 10 days, my podcast numbers were like, I was up 50%. It was going great. In these last 10 days, it was like maybe one listener a day. My numbers went down 84%. I was feeling like I should just go away, and I saw one, so that was 7 days of watching it at 1, 2, whatever listens, and just feeling like, okay, I had a good run. It's not that great, and I never thought it was that great, but I like to do it. Kids said, get rid of the commercials, which I will do. They have never given me one dime. My podcasting site put me into it. I can't control the commercials. You have to get like 500 listens before you even get $10. And I'm never there, it's like 1,200 or 1,500. And I can't get there. And these commercials are awful. So he's going to get me out of the commercial thing. Then he said that I need to go back to like George Carlin or George Clooney, because I got thousands of listens on those. So next podcast after this one is going to be George Carlin and George Clooney walk into a bar. That's what he told me to do, and I'm going to do it. But in the meantime, and I was feeling like I don't even know how I ever did this. I woke up this morning and somebody had downloaded, one person, 100 episodes, whatever they call these things, podcasts. And I just want to be eternally grateful to that person. So thank you. It bolstered me. And then the other thing that bolstered me was my weekend of my matchmaking was supposed to be this weekend. And my girlfriend was ready, and we were going to go out to dinner. And then she had a whole next day planned for him. And they've been talking on the phone. And he was flying in from Atlanta. And he fell the night before. And he'd been drinking and he fell. Okay, that's the truth. So he didn't come. And I just felt like, oh my God, that was yesterday. That was just yesterday. I was like at the end, I had despair. So sad. So sorry for everything. Shouldn't have even done it. And then at 3, and I talked everything out with my friend, and kid talked to the guy, and we're not done yet, and there's still hope, but it is scary. So at 3:30 in the afternoon yesterday, the doorbell rang, which is weird. I mean, unless it's alcohol, like wine from, the parcel post guy, we don't usually have doorbells ringing. We're not that popular. So we're not that great. I was in my bathrobe at the counter reading something, and my bathrobe was hanging on the chair, and I was naked, of course. This is my problem. I deal with it. You can't see me from any window. That is how I deal with it. So anyway, kid answers the door really quickly. It's 8 little boys. 8 little 8-year-olds at the door, and they scream trick or treat. This was yesterday, November 15th. Giggling, laughing, hilarity ensued. Kid said, and they go, yeah, well, we're European, and we've just arrived in this country. They speak just like American kids. And we didn't want to miss the big show. We didn't want to miss Halloween. So here we are. They had 1 bucket. Kid had these spearmint patties that, these big, they come in the silver foil, whatever. That's all we have in the candy department. He put 8 into their bucket. They thought they'd just get 1 candy. They looked up and they go, God bless America. And kid told them, you have incredible accents. And they thanked him very much. Giggling, laughing. And I just thought, oh my God, life is so cute. It surprises you. It's just silly. It was like 1970 prank. Little kids just feeling like they could do it. Knowing that it would be okay. Just absolutely adorable. So I had that. And then I looked at the paper this morning, and it was good. I saw 2 movies, and in retrospect, now that I'm in a better mood, A Conclave was scary, and I'm going to spoil it. There's no way priests would ever let a man with a uterus be pope. They're fighting too hard. They're fighting too hard against it, okay? I didn't buy it. Very good acting up until that point. Just felt a little bit preached to or sermonizing or whatever. Blah. Didn't love it. The second one, which is not getting a lot of people in the theater, the best Christmas pageant ever. Oh my gosh, the beginning, it seemed like a high school film production with high school acting, high school script writing, high school everything, lighting, camera, everything. And then, but you can take any child, you can take any grandchild. The respect for the parents is good. The parents' relationship is very strong, very good. Their relationship is great, and you never see that in kids' movies. Parents are always doofuses. I loved it. But I was not intrigued. And then, at the end, this one packed a punch. And I think they did it on purpose. I think it was supposed to look like a silly little production that turns into something that is so real and so good. And I won't spoil it for you. And you really need to take someone under 12 to see it. Magic movie. So now that my mind is better, I can remember that I actually really like that. When I go into the troughs, I mean, it could be my birthday, Christmas, New Year's all wrapped up into one, and I just don't feel it. So it was my 10 days, and they weren't good. Then I read the paper, and Barbra Streisand, who I'm not crazy about, is a tough love stepmother to Josh Brolin. He came over right after they got together. Josh is like a famous alcoholic who tries to control it. He came over. He said, I want a glass of wine. She said, no, you're an alcoholic. He said, it's just one glass of wine. I'll get it myself. She said, no, you're an alcoholic. You can't drink, and you won't drink here. So my hat's off to her. That's not easy to do. Then there was this amazing story underneath it. This was in the Wall Street Journal on Saturday, not the New York Times. The New York Times was kind of I don't know, preachy sad today. So, Wall Street Journal was great. The luck of the draw. Why? I'm glad I didn't choose my freshman roommate. Okay, so this guy, Rich Cohen, is writing in and he's talking about his son going to college. And now his son is using the internet to find the perfect male roommate for his freshman year. When Rick went to college, you could not do that, like 40 years ago. And he was a 5'9" Jewish kid from the North Shore of Chicago. And he got matched with a 6'5" kid from Tampa, Florida, who was recruited to play football. And life ensued. Things he never would have dreamed he'd be part of ensued. He became friends with this guy. This guy took him to New Orleans, and he got in a bar fight in a motorcycle gang bar. And he found out that it doesn't really hurt too much to be punched in the nose. His son is not going to experience any of this. His roommate and he are simpatico on everything. And he thinks it's very sad. He said his father went to war when he was 18 and learned in those 2 years everything he needed to know about America and life and different personalities. This kid of Rick's kid is not going to learn anything at all. And I think that's what's wrong with the internet. People just are constantly talking to people who agree with them completely on everything. And if you're dealing with a pool of 12 million people, you will find someone who agrees with you about every single thing that you think. Okay, now, in the New York Times Magazine, there was something very interesting, which I had never heard of. In Santa Fe, once a year, they have this celebration called Zozabra. And it was started by this man who had been in World War I, came home with tuberculosis. He was told by his family and doctors to move to somewhere very dry. So he moved to Santa Fe. And in the first year he was there, he decided in 1924, in his backyard, that he would take all of his medical papers and every bit of sorrow, Dear John letters, everything that had gone wrong. He couldn't even think after he got tuberculosis. So everybody dropping him, every single piece of paper that had anything bad on it, he put inside this like paper mache man, and he burned it. And that has started 100 years, and this is the anniversary of Zozabra. So now this thing is, oh my gosh, it is 40 feet high, and everyone in the world can stuff whatever sadness they have inside of it. People even put people's ashes inside it. They put wedding dresses inside it. Everything that has gone wrong in everyone's life gets put into this huge paper mache man. 71,000 people show up and scream, burn him, burn him, burn him. And I just think that's amazing. So this guy was looking into why fire. Why, since the beginning of time, do we do this with fire? And it's so obvious. Because fire is awesome. That's why we do it. It's a power. It's out of control. It obliterates everything. There's ashes left. You start over. So anyway, Zozabra, if you're going to Santa Fe, try to get there. And look it up. I don't think the date is set in stone. Look it up. Get there. You have to follow this path. You have to go outside the city a little bit. This couple, the guy who wrote the story, didn't even know that it existed. And he and his wife just stood on a line for an hour. And they didn't know why. I love that. I know a guy who did that in China. And he was going into the Forbidden City Palace. But I told him maybe you were just waiting online to go to the bathroom. He said, I didn't care. This was my spot on the line and I wasn't going to lose it. And that's how this couple felt. And then they end up in this amazing, amazing thing. So it's not even very well documented. You got to go. Zozabra. Okay? If you're still traveling, if you're still getting around, and you can put something in there collectively with other people, all your sadness, all your disappointment, and it can be from the last 50 years. People were putting in things like draft notices from the Vietnam War. Anything that made you sad that you can't let go of, you can take to this place and let go of it in front of everyone screaming, burn him. I think it's cathartic, and I love it. Okay, there was a really great story in the Metropolitan Opera, the Metropolitan Diary. And it goes like this. It was 1945. We wanted to be married. I was 19. I saw a picture of a bride in a wedding gown. I wanted to do that so badly. We had 1 week. He was on furlough from the war. His father's office had phones that worked. We used them to invite guests. We were married with 100 family and friends at a fancy dinner at the Ambassador Hotel on Park Avenue. Nobody had had fun like this in so long. It was the greatest night. He was in his beautiful uniform. I was in a bridal gown that a salesperson had grabbed from someone else's future order. What a salesperson. This night was enchanted. It was August 12th, 1945. The wedding festivities had been fantastic. Everyone was dancing, drinking, eating like they hadn't in years. When it was winding down, all of a sudden the ballroom doors burst open. People crowded in, shouted, crying, screaming, laughing, whispering. The war was over. Everyone screaming, flooding into my wedding. The war is over. The war is over. The band started playing again. Drinks were on the house. People were kissing and hugging. The party went on for 6 more hours. People prayed. People cried. The war was over. What a wedding night. What a wedding. It's just unbelievable. So this one reminds me of my great Aunt Kitty, which maybe you don't know anything about. She was, for me, the ideal, the only adult I knew who was having fun. She had been married to a bootlegger, and she lived in Corona next to Dizzy Gillespie. This is how great she was. Her husband's name was Jimmy. They'd only been married 2 years, so she wasn't pregnant yet. And he wasn't home a lot. He was busy. Let's just put it like that. He came home every single day with theater tickets for Aunt Kitty and her mother. So the mother wasn't asking any questions. Very generous guy, very great guy. One day she wakes up and he's lying flat on the ground in front of her house, dead, shot. She never married again. She never loved anyone again. The saddest part is, at the funeral, this woman showed up. And she found out it was his mistress. So, my Aunt Kitty had given this guy her heart, her soul, and she threw in her body. That's what she told me. And she said if it wasn't enough for him, it wouldn't be enough for any other man. And she never tried again. Never, never, never. But she was fun. She won a twisting contest in New York City when she was 72 years old. She would dance. She had bunions. The flesh was coming out of the top of her shoes, and nothing would stop her. Nothing stopped her from thinking life was fun. Nothing stopped her from being compassionate towards a little chubby high schooler like me. Nothing ever stopped her from being the best person she could be. So this story reminds me of her. Okay, it was spring break. I came into New York for spring break in 1961. Okay, you might have seen her. That was her. She was hopping around the city back then. I had a room at the Sloan House YMCA and then upgraded to an apartment on the Upper East Side, thanks to a friend of a friend. That's when people used to be nice. Before, all these places that rent, people did just give you the apartment. Just use it. Enjoy it. I love that. I caught a modern jazz quartet at the Village Vanguard. Missed Leontine Price at the Met. I would have loved to have seen that, even though I'm not really a great understander of the opera. I would have loved her. And he saw a Tom Mix movie at the Museum of Modern Art. My last night in town, I was coming home late from seeing Edward Albee's The American Dream, which was good. The way he portrayed his mother in that movie. Whoa. Heading east across Park Avenue, I encountered two older women bundled against the chill and waiting for the light to change. Being a nice young man, I said, "Can I help you ladies cross the street?" "Yes, young man," one said. "That would be very nice of you." He just looked at them. They were very old, like 80. Tiny women huddled against this whipping wind. He said, "Where are you headed this late at night?" They pointed to a small bar on the corner and suggested that I join them for a drink. We entered and took our seats at the bar. I don't remember what we ordered, but I do recall that the bartender seemed less suspicious of me when I paid for the round. Right, because it's always the other way around. The old woman paying for the young man. So then he says to the women, "Aren't you up a little late?" He asked the women. "What brings you out?" One of the women went, "Well, we went to bed a little early tonight," one of them said. "Then we woke up and wanted a drink. But Eleanor had hidden the liquor bottle so good we couldn't find it." She continued, "So we had to get dressed and come out for a drink." Now, my Aunt Kitty had a friend like that. They actually gave each other $20 every Christmas. And one Christmas they couldn't do it because they didn't have any money. They partied in New York City all the time. They had a Nathan's hot dog bartender. They went to the very same deli every week on Tuesday afternoon. She loved this woman. The woman had cerebral palsy. And my Aunt Kitty would take her husband out dancing. Aunt Kitty would get this woman, this was before wheelchairs had accommodations to get into buildings. She would help this woman with her wheelchair. She would wait and get men to help get the wheelchair up wherever it had to go. Never, ever failed that she would have 5 men within 2 seconds helping. And they were lifelong friends from grammar school. When the friend died, Aunt Kitty said, "I'll take care of him. I'll take care of him." And she did, although he died 6 months later of a broken heart. But they partied, drank, had a ball. She would go and watch them dance. Her little feet would go back and forth in her wheelchair. They laughed. They had in-jokes. I'd seen them together twice. Nobody finished a sentence. The joke was, "And remember when?" And they'd start laughing. Just made me know what a best friend could be. And they would have done that. They didn't have a drinking problem because they never ran out of alcohol. That would have been the problem. That's what they told me. They didn't chew gum. That's what they thought was good. They thought you could drink if you could hold it. And she said she had a wooden leg, which meant she could drink all night and there was no reaction except good times. Nothing bad ever happened. She never got sloppy. She just got more and more and more fun. And she danced better and better and better. She could do the jitterbug. She was everybody's favorite person. Everybody in Corona knew her. I mean, Dizzy Gillespie had a nickname for her. He called her the princess. It just, everybody loved her. So, and she had a million reasons to be depressed. A million. Trillion. She'd been robbed twice. A guy came into her house, stole her money. She had $3,000 set aside to remodel the house. Came in, threw her on the ground, took the $3,000. He came back 4 weeks later, and she didn't have any money, and he threw her down on the ground, and she broke her hip. And she came out of it. She came out of it. The lesson she learned is, I'm not going to remodel. That was the lesson. I'm not going to have money. People can smell it. I'm just going to spend every dime I get right away, which I took. I needle pointed that on a pillow. That seemed like very logical advice. So she was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I have one. She gave me a watch that was from the Empire State Building. I don't know what happened to that. She gave me a flapper purse that she had. It's flat, and you're supposed to tie it on your belt, and it's sequiny, and it's pink, gray, and white. And it was hers, and I still have it, and I haven't decided who to give it to yet. I don't know anyone that deserves it. I didn't deserve it. I don't know how to impart to anyone the story and the wonder of it. It's such a long time ago. So I just don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'll probably give it to Matt, because Matt feels and understands everything about people. But anyway, I'm back up 10 days, down in the dumps. You could feel it. I mean, it was like a graveyard on over 65 and talking. Thank you to that one person that downloaded 100 episodes, because you saved my life. I didn't think I was going to be able to do this anymore. It just takes one person. And I don't know who you are, but I hope you're listening to this one. And I hope you know that you're the only reason I came back. That's it. Because I have a fan, one. I'm for you. You're for me. I love this. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll get rid of the commercials. And I'll tell you what happened when George Carlin and George Clooney walked into a bar. And I'll be back. Thanks.
They fly